Mrs. Ashvanian is a Deputy District Attorney in Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office, currently assigned to the Hardcore Gang Division, specializing in prosecution of extremely violent criminal street gangs. She volunteers as a specialist in building of the rule of law in the Republic of Armenia and Artsakh, lending her expertise in training judges, lawyers, and students in ways of Western democracy and jurisprudence. She's been a fixture, especially in the last year, in the Constitutional Rights Foundation mock trial program of the ABA, where she's coached Armenian American students and witnessed her team's ascension to the final rounds. Please welcome to the podium, Amy.
Good evening, everyone. I'm delighted and pleased to introduce to you Honorable Holly Fujie, an individual who embodies elegance and nobility, an heir to rich history which was filled with challenges, a person who has embraced all of the challenges and became a role model for so many in our diverse community. While preparing for my introduction for Holly Fujie, I came across a quote: "Don't let your past dictate who you are, but let it be part of who you will become." And for those of you who know Fujie will attest that she became who she is now because of her past. And the challenges she faced in being a minority and a woman did not make her road to success easy. As a child, Judge Fujie heard her mother, a second-generation Japanese American, talking with friends about her time in an American-run internment camp during World War II. Like many Japanese Americans, Judge Fujie's mom and dad and her family were taken from their homes and imprisoned after the Pearl Harbor bombing. Her mom's generation never talked about the dark days with their children, so she was shocked by what she found out. When she was asked about it years later, Judge Fujie said, "It's a motivating factor for me. That's always part of me." Every one of us here in this room have and share a common history, similar challenges, unique characteristics, which define the richness of our multicultural community. In many ways, looking at our own Armenian history, our grandparents and great-grandparents did not talk much about the dark days of their survival during the continuous genocide in the hands of Ottoman Turks. However, over 100 years later, the fact is and will always be part of us. I know from my own personal experience what it's like to be a minority, a woman, an immigrant, being born in families that look different in everybody else's eyes, speak different, have a different name with pronunciation that's foreign to everyone, different food, and with all of that, we want to be recognized, we want to blend in, and be treated equally. Judge Fujie was raised in West Oakland as one of the handful of Asian families in a neighborhood which was about 95% African American. She didn't have any lawyers as role models and wasn't sure what she wanted to do with her life until her mom popped up the suggestion. Her mom said to her one day, "You talk so much, you ought to be a lawyer." But she didn't know any lawyers. But it sounded intellectually challenging, so there she goes, Fujie again, taking up the challenge. So there she went. Her status as a minority woman has affected her career by allowing her the opportunity to mentor many young women and help them succeed in the profession. She mentors not only young students and lawyers, but also those attorneys, especially minorities, who have ambition to be bench officers. Judge Fujie received her degree from University of California, Berkeley, with a double major in political science and economics, and a great distinction in scholarship, and her JD from University of California, Berkeley, Boalt Hall, where she served as articles editor of California Law Review. We women in the profession need to rely less on law firms to make changes and more on ourselves to help each other, The more mentoring programs, the better. This is what Judge Fujie said at one of her interviews years ago. She started her law practice in Los Angeles after moving to Southern California. She was the only minority attorney in that firm of 70 lawyers with no women partners. But guess what she did? She became a partner twice in that firm. One after the first child was born, and the second time after her second child, her son Thomas, was born. In meetings with minority and women's bar, Judge Fujie speaks to young women and minority attorneys about the importance of making the profession and the bench more diverse. When she began practicing in the late 70s, she did not expect that more than 30 years later, she would still be speaking on panels and serving on task forces to retain and advance women in the profession and increase diversity on the bench. Judge Fujie advocates for each member of the bar to step up and take action to help individual women and minority attorneys enter, remain, and thrive in the law. She believes that the diverse legal profession gives credibility to the entire system of justice because it is apparent sign that all people are treated equally. Judge Fujie was the first Asian American and third woman to actually be the president of State Bar of California in 2008. When I was doing research about her, I honestly wrote down a one full page of all the membership she has in all the boards and organizations. But I know time is of the essence, so I'm just gonna name a couple. She was named as Daily Journal top 100 most influential lawyers in California, and one of the top 50 women lawyers in Southern California. She was the president of the State Bar. From 2008 to 2012, she was the chair of Senator Dianne Feinstein's Advisory Committee for Central District of California for federal judicial and U.S. attorneys appointments, and this list goes on and on and on. But one thing keeps continuing and repeating is frequent speaking on variety of issues relating to law and legal profession and diversity, whether it's in the profession or on the bench. Without further ado, Honorable Holly Fujie.
I don't know who she was talking about, but that was pretty cool. Thank you. You notice Saro had to have his microphone put up, and it's going way, way down from it. There we go. All right, thank you. Well, thank you so much, Amy. I am stunned. That was an incredibly kind introduction. Thank you so much. And thank you very much to the Armenian Bar Association for this incredible honor. I am so happy to be here, so happy to be receiving this award. And, on behalf of my fellow Armenian judges, Victor Chavezian and Huey Katonian, I believe Huey Katonian, that's spelled with a Y. That makes him Eastern Armenian, right? That's what I thought, yeah. We call ourselves the Armenians of color. But I tell you, the fact that the three of us were chosen, I think says volumes about the Armenian Bar Association's commitment to diversity and inclusion, and for its work to make sure that all people are represented both in the profession and on the bench. And I have to ask for a round of applause for that. Thank you. Now, I have been lucky enough to be working with the Armenian Bar Association in my context as a senior advisor to the Multicultural Bar Alliance. And the Armenian Bar Association has fairly recently, I think, become a member, but has really shown it to be now the real upcoming member of the group, one of the most important members of our group, and with such strong and supportive membership, it's been a real joy to get to know people like Saro And as a matter of fact, yesterday? It was yesterday. Saro and Lucy Varpedian came over to my chambers, and we spent a lovely lunch hour talking about how it is that we could help your members, your wonderful members, to become members of the bench. And we spent a lot of time sort of strategizing. They asked a lot of questions. It was a true joy. They asked such great questions. It was amazing. But then, you know, because it was such a fun lunch, we moved off into lots of other areas to discuss. And one of the things we talked about, Lucy talked about your mock trial program. And she talked about how I guess you had 4 high schools and 2 middle schools this year. And you also talked about how good your high schools were, to the point where one of them, coached by Amy, beat my husband's team. So you can work a little less on that one? Maybe a little bit less on that one, okay, next time? No, my husband, when I told him that the team that beat them in I think it was the first round, was from the Armenian Bar Association, and he was saying, well, that explains it. But the other thing we talked about was about the mentoring program that Lucy and Saro talked about. It is, I mean, I was amazed. It is possibly the largest mentoring program I've heard of, and I know about every mentoring program of a bar association in the state of California because I am the chair of the mentoring subcommittee of the Council on Access and Fairness of the State Bar. And we have been tasked by the State Bar to see if we can come up with a way to provide more mentoring to our young lawyers. Because we worry so much about lawyers, especially those who go out from law school into private practice by themselves. And we worry so much about how they need mentoring, they need assistance. So we've been asked to come up with a way that we can support our local bars in providing something, generally probably some kind of online assistance for them to be able to match mentors. And what I talked about to Lucy was I said, you know, the hardest thing is recruiting mentors. And, you know, because she's got hundreds of mentors she's got to recruit. And she said, oh, it's not that hard. And I said, wow, it's hard for every other bar association. She says, not for the Armenian Bar Association. And I said, that is so impressive. I said, you know, it makes me think we've got to learn from you and figure out what we can do to make so many people volunteer. And she said, oh, they don't volunteer. I make them do it. But she said the reason why she could do that was because of the fact that this is truly a service organization. This is an organization of people who are devoted to public service, who are devoted to mentoring, who are going to be the people who naturally are going to want to assist law students and ultimately lawyers. And so I am planning on using some of the ideas from the Armenian Bar Associations for this state bar mentoring program, and I'm going to be using both Sarah and Lucy as advisors on that. So thank you very much for that. So we all have a lot to learn from the Armenian Bar Association. We are so lucky to have you all as part of our greater family of bar associations, and particularly in the multicultural bar. I am delighted to work with you all. I look forward to doing this for many, many years in the future, using your brains and your ideas to help us all to advance, because we know that we are all on the same boat, and that rising sea is going to lift us all so that we all are able to increase access to justice in our profession and increase diversity and inclusion for all of us. All right, thank you so much for this award.
All right, Judge Fujie, we also have for you one of the artworks from Sigumi have the following message. The Armenian Bar Association, on the occasion of its annual Judges' Night, proudly acknowledges the Honorable Holly J. Fujie, the master architect of the high art of blending diversity with talent, inspiration with integrity, grace with conviction, an exemplary public servant whose deeds outpace all words and phrases, and whose heralded leadership among practitioners and judges alike keeps delivering on the promise of all that is great in the United States of America. November 16, 2017, Glendale, California.